Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of AI Amigos Show. My name is Marina, and I am here with my two favorite Santas. Hi, Jan. Hi, James. How are you doing?
Yeah, I read.
Mexican and Chinese chantas.
Yeah, pick my religion.
Well, so I assume in Spanish because of the song of Thalia, it's very very famous that everyone knows it. Feliz Navidad.
That's right. Papa Noel
Yes.
is looking
Uh,
after us.
I'm very excited actually for today's episode, and I'm very happy as well because it's the last one of the year. And we brought several topics to actually discuss with our audience. And before getting started, I would like to remind you that we are sponsored by Tequila AI. And if you have issues in your company, you don't know how to organize your data or how to implement AI, you can contact them and they will treat you super well when you tell them that you come from AI Amigos show. Now, yes, let's go to the
We
topic
should
of
have
today,
some tequila for Christmas. Tequila for Christmas, yes.
guys. That one we can actually have it. Why not? So, guys, the topic of today is actually a big recap of what happened this year in AI. I would say that there were many things going on, and I'm sure that there are many things going on as well in 2026. But regarding the first thing that I can think of in terms of what happened in 2025 is the reasoning in AI. What happened really, and all the learnings, all the labs, researchers, and everything that happened this year. I feel it was like the one that had the biggest hype if I compare with other years, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be more. I just finally see the adoption of it now more. Like early on, we talked before the show. Like, if you look into the LinkedIn job page, right, all the AI engineers and related to AI, all the companies trying to implement AI now. In this case, LLM, most of them, right? So yeah.
Oh yes, oh yes. But it's not just about the jobs. I mean, the market, the industry is changing. What I have seen until now is that it didn't matter that if a person, for example, had management skills, leadership skills, and no knowledge, because they could say, okay, this is a transferable skills. But now what I see, and especially as an AI lead, is if you don't really have a knowledge in AI, or well, so at least in machine learning, in data analytics, in data science, it's really hard to lead a team. It's really hard. Like I cannot imagine like my job, for example, leading the teams if I didn't have the knowledge. It wouldn't be possible. It's not possible. And I feel that now this is something that is changing in the market. So the companies, they need managers or program managers or leaders, but not just with the management skills, also with the technical skills. Otherwise, it's not possible. You can follow. And this is something that I'm sure in 2026 will come up as well.
From
Well, I
what
mean,
I see, I think, sorry, James, from
oh,
what I see, I totally understand where this is the conversation I had with James as well. I have a feeling this year it's been a road splitting off now. The traditional talk about AI, it becomes the AI researchers. You look into how to apply machine learning, natural language, natural NLPs, right? All those kind of stuff, and there's a path now, kind of like a DevOps, and there's tons of people doing POCs and all that. But when you're doing production, there is this gap in between. You have to have the knowledge of applying that machine learning, applying that AI LLM, how to architect the kind of production application and using your current infrastructure. That part, in a sense, like prompt engineering is getting bigger and more important. Nice. Than we joke about it before now. Yeah, so I feel like there's a splitting at the moment, and there's a lot of gap on the really transform the idea into production environment, not just POC.
Oh yes,
it's
of
use cases
course.
we're talking about. Use cases.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, but I would say, as well, it's equally important to know what are the challenges that your team can face. Because, yes, you can have the idea of, okay, let's implement this architecture, or let's go for one or another server, let's connect to an API. But there are different challenges according as well to the experience that your team has, right? And things that are happening as well in certain applications, and it's not really easy, right? So then it's something that I still feel if I didn't have the knowledge, I wouldn't be able to do that. To understand as well the timelines, because the timelines that you set as well are actually connected to this. If you don't really have the knowledge, if you don't know, the struggles that your team could have, for example, or potential solutions, then it's really hard to move forward in there. Well, James, probably you see this as well in the data science field.
Yeah, I mean, Agent Challenge, as you mentioned yesterday, and then there's a shout out there from La Goat. I don't know who that is. I said, can I have a shout out? So there's a smoking goat there.
Hello, welcome.
So welcome for the comments. So yeah, feel free to chime in for those that are listening. But
Please do.
Jinsha and I were talking, like, how, which is definitely a big topic for 2025, which is agentic AI, where we looked at people are now using they're using what do you call it, AI to, or agentic AI to do tasks. So if you look at Google's AI Studio, or even Claude, or ChatGPT, where you can say do a prompt, ask it to like organize what can I do, help me with my tasks, help me align my goals to my let's say my company. And all of that is a way of you using AI to make you more productive. And so people are seeing this as AI, which it is in essence an AI thing.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of like where I think where Jinshao's saying, where it's veering off a bit. So we'll have people that do, like, say, okay, bringing in AI tools. So, like, for example, I had a thing with Revolut the other day, and I was talking, and there was an AI chatbot, right? So you say, okay,
Mhm.
so someone brought in that AI chatbot and integrated into their organization and saying, okay, well, now we're AI. And it's like, well, I mean, under the traditional term of AI, if you say, if you're an AI purist, you say, well, AI should be machine learning, and what's the difference between machine learning and an AI? Where you say,
Well,
okay, well,
here
this
we
is,
can go. What's the difference between statistics and machine learning, right? And then we can keep going deeper.
yeah, that's a conversation for another day. The thing is that, you say, okay, well, someone who maybe is an engineering department or software developer just basically use an API to connect to the LLM, put the prompt in, plugged it into a chatbot, and all of a sudden another company is AI, right? And so it's not like, is there any kind of data analysis, cluster analysis? Is there any kind of prediction, whether it be regression or classification? So it seems to be veering off into that, where you say, well, if you can bring in the LLM models, maybe using Bedrock or using some form of, then that is considered now the organization is using AI. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that. And those are,
Well, so I have seen different startups, for example, that they connected to an API, like a front end, and then they said, okay, so in the back we can have, as you said, like a chatbot or an LLM that is talking to you about different products, right, or about different stuff that you can ask about. I don't know, recommendations, for example. I am having like this meal. Okay, so then what is the clothes that you recommend me to wear in certain restaurant? And then you have an LLM answering with a different front end, right? And this is a product and it's going to the market. Now, there are two big difference here. And one thing is what you can actually put in the market and it's working, okay, and can generate some profits, for example. And when you are really using AI to build it, because in this sense, I believe that we are on different lines. If we are talking about the return of investment, profit, go to market, etc., sometimes maybe you don't need to develop like a super big technology to actually get some profits. As you said, James, I assume like Revolut has a lot of customers, so then enough money to implement AI, right? So then a chatbot is kind of the minimum thing that they could do. in that sense. But it's working, it's there. So then it's something that is there. I wouldn't say that this is kind of implementing AI, honestly, but it's functional to the
Well, I
company.
mean, that's what I'm saying. There's organizations that don't know about AI. This for them, this is implementation of AI.
Ah, but it's
And then
not. Of course not.
people will say, well, the person that does that is an AI specialist.
Uh-huh.
Ah, yeah.
And I'm telling you from what I've seen, this has
No,
happened. I mean,
and that's true. That's what I said. Like I also mentioned that it's functional, it is there, but it's not implementation of AI. It's not building, like an AI product in there.
what about vibe coding? Would you consider that AI?
You're asking me, I will pass the ball to John Chao.
Well, I'm asking because no, what I'm saying is like I use vibe coding all
My
the time.
feelings are, are struggling here.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I use vibe coding all the time, and you can say, okay, well, instead of me using vibe coding, so I'm doing the job that would take 2 to 3 people using vibe coding.
That's AI automation, right?
Yeah.
It's different. But back to the point that you guys are talking about, I think it's not like a business doesn't know to create a cool one, but the problem is if you wanted to get a real AI researcher, like old school AI engineer, like let's say, right, knows all the models, how to train it, how that. The first problem is you get blocked straight away. And Marina, I know you're gonna give me the data. Let me sort the data. Let me train it. How long is it gonna be? 3, 4 months? No, can't wait that long. We need something out there. That's what happened,
Now,
basically.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that's one thing. And then the vibe coding is interesting as well. Like I still stand from what I'm saying. Like you really needed to know what you wanted to do, know the knowledge behind it, and do it step by step. Otherwise, you're gonna have something that's definitely not reliable.
a
No,
disaster.
of course. But here comes the thing, and this is where I try to go towards too. So the first thing is, it's true that maybe you can wait a lot of time. It's true that maybe you don't have enough data to say, okay, at least I will fine tune my model. It could happen, right? So then if you're just implementing, and then the easiest way would be, okay, let's connect it to an LLM and let's work with this and let's move forward, and then we see what to do, right? So then this could be, as I said, it's functional, it's there, you can use it. Maybe it's what your audience or your people need, whatever. But implementing or creating a product with AI requires time, requires a lot of patience, and also exploring and getting up to date and being adaptable. I admire so much the CTOs that now are working, maybe on a project, and in 3 months everything changed, and then they have to actually adapt to whatever is coming to adapt the product as well to that.
Yeah, that's exactly why. And like not everyone like us following news every day. I mean, like
No.
just thinking about a company, I have to implement AI. Okay, how do you train your whole whole workforce, right? Like all the people and developers had to understand how to manage cache on those, prompt caching, prompting, how do you chain it together, what do you use, graph knowledge base or whatever, right?
No,
That's
and
a
also as well, you can also wonder which one is the best API to connect. Because, if we talk about OpenAI, yes, OpenAI, in my opinion, keeps, in the frontier. But Gemini is going super fantastic. I said this year what Gemini actually achieved was amazing. But still, if you want to generate images, for example, or something like that, okay, so then you can try, maybe, I don't know, to use Olama or Hugging Face pre-trained models, because Facebook has so many images there, or now, well, with the Gemini Pro, this is what you could use. But then if you tell me, okay, I just want to do like text, okay, go with OpenAI, it's fantastic. And then it depends always on what you are doing. And as you mentioned, if you're not following the news, if you're not following what happened with the companies or what they are doing or what are the new releases, it's extremely hard.
I think the struggle as well in an organization is that they can spend loads of resources. Now, what I mean by resources, like employee resources, people going and doing something and working hours and months, and have a whole development team, and then Gemini or someone will come out that all of a sudden now it's all integrated, and all that work you did, they've just come out with a product and that's it. And that's where I mean, I know you work with startups, and I'd say for people that are trying to do like AI startups, this is a really difficult time because
It is.
they just roll right over you. The company's got large amounts of money, and maybe they're not doing it intentionally, but at the end of the day, that it's what the result is, right? So you say, I've developed this AI, I've developed these models, I'm doing this, whatever. Let's say, for example, one example would be integrating your email with your calendar and doing tasks, workflows, right? And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, Google comes out with AI Studio and it does all of that. And you say, well, I've developed these models and I've trained and I've connected and I've made these APIs and I'm integrating this into an organization. And you have to find out, can you connect, like with Jira or connect with various different things. And then all of a sudden, Google just comes out with something and says, yeah, we have all of this. And you
Yeah.
spent all of this money and time, and it's
No, I know,
a
but
hard one.
also, it's hard sometimes because when you talk to companies, and I'm not talking about startups, I'm talking about companies, enterprises or SMEs, right? So what is happening many times is that you talk, let's say, with the business people, the CEO or the board members, and you said, okay, do you want to implement AI? Oh, yes, of course. Okay,
It's a
do you know
buzzword.
what are your pain points? Oh no, I don't know. Would you like to I don't know, you offer, for example, I would tell you, one of the startups that was working with us, they created for construction, everything was done by pen and paper, right? So then they were just writing down, okay, what are the number of materials, whatever. So then they created a kind of automation where at the end of the day, the employee who was in charge and before was doing everything with pen and paper was just writing into a chat, okay, like we have this and this amount of whatever, material is here. And then every morning in the dashboard the company could see, what was left, what they needed, and so on. My opinion was, okay, it's fantastic, but this was extremely hard to go into the market. They didn't want to adapt like this kind of industries. And even though it's a pain point, for them, but still, this person knew it because he was working in this area, in this environment. Sometimes you talk to the boss or to the business people and they don't really know. So then it's really hard. And for them, James, as you said, like their idea of AI is, oh, we are using ChatGPT and it's doing everything for us. You just ask and it writes a report or whatever. Then this is using AI. And the extension of this is much bigger than that, right?
Well,
Mm.
that's the definition, right? But that's what people think. That's what AI, where you say, well, we study to do AI, and we study to say, well, this is what AI is. But they're like, no, I'm an AI expert, and the AI expert is I know how to use ChatGPT. And then if you look at, say, a small company of like what you're talking about, they're like 10, 15, 20 people. Let's say no one knows how to use ChatGPT, but this one person does in the organization. They're the AI expert of that company.
Yes, yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. And at the end of the day, what is my main concern is what will happen in 2026, because in my opinion was, okay, this year maybe the bubble would burst in different organizations. When you have, for example, like one person, as you said, that know how to use ChatGPT or how to do certain automation, and then this person is the expert. But I really didn't see that happen. I see that people are not really getting trained or involved into AI unless they are already technical people, right? So my fear here is that a lot of people will depend a lot on the agentic AI, in the 2026, because now of course it's very comfortable, it's nice, it's great. What will happen with the jobs?
Mhm.
What will happen, like if you
We don't
really
need to
trust
worry about
everything that the agents are actually doing?
in Europe. We don't need to worry about. I don't think the AI gonna roll out in Europe that well, to be honest. Apart from any other continent, um,
Mhm.
it's it's at the end of the day right now. It's not the Gen AI war. It's a power war.
Yeah, electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which country has the most electricity can run those? U.S. has, China has, Europe that doesn't have.
Yeah, because they've gone green, right? And I'm not against going green, but what I'm saying is that the going green doesn't give you the power you need to be able to do what because at the end of the day, you need electricity.
Yeah, and
Yeah, of
then
course.
And then that's the thing, like, you can plug in those data centers. You know yourself, like when I do AWS, Bedrock, they got cross-region interface. But call made to is US. In like Dublin is a region, it's been in AWS for quite a long time. It's one of the most important region in the European, but doesn't have a large language model that we wanted to use. It's still in US at the moment. So, and you see that Germany go green, right? And it took it off. Like Ireland doesn't have much gas
Mm.
power station even. So it's no race in here. Like the Microsoft CEO says, they have a full data center of full of NVIDIA H100 or 200 card sitting there, but they can't plug in, right? So that's the
Because they
thing.
can't power 'em.
Yeah, they don't have power. So
Well, at some point, I still believe. I remember like a long time back. I think it was around March this year. We had a conversation about how AI will be able to help the green energies, for example, or sustainability. Because of course there are like many different feelings here, right? So then, okay, if we need all the powers, then we are going against the protect the green areas and so on. And then on the other hand, we think, okay, but AI is actually really coming up with very good ideas in different areas. So then why we cannot think that maybe AI will come up with certain ideas to help researchers to go into this?
well,
um,
what I'm thinking is, but for developing Gen AI in Europe will be behind. Other people will figure out first.
I
Right now,
agree that I agree on that. I cannot say no. I cannot say no. But it's not only with the LLMs. I think also, with the EU AI Act coming into force in 2026, that would be also a big change. Because when you are training your models, right, you use pre-trained data. You don't know where this data is coming from. So then, how can you actually justify the data that you are using to train your models? That would be very hard. At
Well,
least here in
equally, like,
Europe,
do
it's
you have
very hard.
permission? Do you have permission for that data? Is a big issue. GDPR, and look,
If it is open source, you have it, but
I'm not against GDPR, but yeah, it's like, so how do you prove that data come from here, came from there?
yeah, exactly. But this is actually, where we are going towards to. And also one more thing that I have seen here from organizations in Europe, at least in Germany, right? In Germany and in France, that some companies, they said, okay, we are using AI, but we don't see an increase in the productivity. Why we are not seeing, that this is actually going faster or better, or we need less employees to do certain tasks? Maybe we see only in some areas, right?
Mhm.
um in my opinion, is because there is a lot of reliability on LLMs only, and the companies are missing, the biggest scope that AI can actually go into. I think that's actually one of the main issues here.
Yeah.
What do you
So
see in your companies, or maybe with the companies that you are working with?
Education of learning AI, how to properly using it. It's changing every day. Different model are different. It's not like you learn you're trying to be a lawyer. That law doesn't really change that much.
mm,
But from just the year of 2025, we're going to GPT-4, how to code on that. How do you prompt for that? Next thing, GPT-5. How do you prompt on Claude? How do you prompt on Gemini? It's all different. Results are
Yeah,
different.
it's different.
So if you don't follow it, you're not gonna get the best. And then, like Jim says early on, are they those AI ChatGPT expert when they implement? Are they still using in the console?
yeah.
So a lot of people are reluctant to change as well, even you give to them. So I heard a joke today. It's very funny. It's how they think the AI company is. So the joke has started with the manager, the department manager says, we're using AI and bought 3,000 seats of Copilot, and then tell the board meeting says, we're using AI now, and then announce that, and then only 10 or 12 people sign up, right, to the Copilot license, and the board meeting says, oh, announce that outside. That's the news. We're using AI now. So the stock popped. go up the roof. This company using AI now, and then next thing you
They're
know,
cutting edge, state of the art.
another department manager get a big bonus, says, "Oh, you're in charge of next year's AI." So he went out there and get another 100,000 of license, and next year is mandatory. You have to train on AI, but like they didn't ask the work for force, right? Are they liking to use it or not? Like, that's a new thing, and a lot of people still have these things like AI gonna replace me. I'm not gonna using it. So yeah.
Yes, no, that's
Yeah,
true.
there's a lot of fear out there with that. But I mean, what are the, even like what you're saying there, Jinsha, like, what are the metrics? Like, what metrics are you using to measure to say, what KPIs are being hit to say, we're seeing these productivity increases and this is how we're measuring that.
Yeah.
So like you said there, so, oh, we sell 10,000 license. Okay. How many people are using it? How often are they using it?
Yeah.
And how are they using it? And can we say, this is what they did before in their job, and this is now with AI, that we can see a very clear metric of productivity, and that's an issue.
But equally, guys, what I would say is there are still many organizations that they don't have proper KPIs to follow the technical advancements, for example, or it's not just about the productivity, is what has changed since you use the technology. And I believe there is a lack of education in here. But I want to mention something funny now that you mentioned this joke, Jean Chao. Last week, last week I was in a meeting, right, like with people from different environments, and someone asked me, Marina, do you know how to code? And for me, it's kind of, I smiled and said, "Of course I know. I'm the AI lead of my company." And this person asked me, "Well, but nowadays you don't really need to know how to code to use AI or to develop something, with technology." And then I just smiled, and I told her, "But it's my job to know. Even if you believe that you don't need it because of all the bad coding and everything, you need to have some knowledge, behind it." And I'm surprised on how people really get surprised that, oh, you know how to code because now AI can do this for you.
Yeah.
And then yes, you can use body coding, you can use cloud code, you can use anti-gravity, you can use like so many tools. But if there is a mistake, for example, let's say that there is a bug or an error or something that you don't really like in the outcome and you want to change it, you need to understand the coding so then you can change it yourself. Like, I mean, the minimum basis, right? And this is connected to this point that maybe there are some companies that they don't really know how to establish the KPIs. I believe I believe that in 2026 it could actually change.
You see, if you measure, like Jem says, if you're trying to measure the efficiencies when people using AI or not using AI, most of the times probably engineering departments. I know a lot of company doesn't even have a code to deploy time. This is standard. If you implement DevOps correctly, from the moment you commit that piece of code, land it at production environment, that's the time you're trying to shrink. Is a couple measurement is called LoRa. Initial there's a 3 or 4 different measurement, but this is one of the most important one. And then you iterate, try to get shorter and shorter, right? So you need to have a baseline after right after you apply the AI, you can see where you are at the baseline. If you go up or go down, if you go significant. So like you said correctly, and not really like KPI, as well as those measurement point, not many company has. So that's
Exactly. But this is something that I believe will change. And I don't want to end this episode talking about what do we see for next year, guys. Like, I would love to know your opinion. I know, like, the three of us, we are working in technology and we have different point of views. Something that I would like to point is how amazed me, like the technology changing. And I have seen this with the startups. When I started working in this role, many startups were working with LLMs, like only LLMs. And then, they moved to agents. And then it's kind of, okay, now it's agentic AI plus automation plus LLMs. So then
Mhm.
it's kind of, it is moving. So I'm excited to see what is coming up, but I want to know your opinion. What do you see for next year?
Um, I think the video James shared early on is quite interesting, right? Andrew NG, this guy, I was talking about all those measurement about different Gen AIs scoring, right? He was saying like that doesn't really measure the whole picture. He was saying there's a measurement of people using AI. It's using AI to replace people's work time. So if you do this task for 2 seconds, AI can replace it, and for 2 seconds, and now it get better and better. It can replace the job to 16 seconds, 32 seconds, or something. So it's more and more streamlined, fully automated. So I would see in 2026 we might see some total automation, or someone or some kind of vibe coding tool can actually help development of a whole project. Uh, that's what I see. And also maybe more efficient, because I know Google was working on their TPU version of, to against NVIDIA. So
Mm-hmm.
let's.
Well, I mean, I definitely would say that, there's more AI adoption in organizations, particularly if we're saying they feel left out. But I mean,
Mm,
I'm seeing, and personally, I think, and I could be wrong, this is my opinion, but I do see like AI being a digital coworker, where
mhm,
you have, where it's very easy now to, when you say, well, you implement a RAG, where if you say, okay, well, if I use now it's all projects, right? So you look and you say you got Claude's got projects. Google calls them gems, where you can put content into there and say, I want to discuss. Let's say, for example, how can I be more productive, or these are my goals and this is the company's, focus. How do I what do you call? Sorry, that's me. How do I get that? Um, how do how do I how do I put my goals to line up with the company's
mhm,
strategy?
mhm,
And it's able to work as a coworker, and you can then say, okay, in every day breaking down tasks and things along those lines. You know what I mean. So I can
mhm.
see that it will definitely be a coworker to help you do your job.
And what I see is a lot of more people subscribing to our channel for 2026. Guys, it was an amazing year. Thank you so much for sharing this Thursday's afternoon with me. And thank you to our audience. I think it's nice to get up to date with everything that is happening. Feel free to contact us, follow us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, AI Amigos Show. And guys, I wish you a lovely Christmas and Happy New Year. And I'm excited to see you in 2026.
Yeah, so we'll be back on the looking at the calendar, the 8th of January. That's because next Thursday is Christmas, believe it or not. Can't believe that. And then the following Thursday is the 1st, and then we're on the 8th. So yeah.
But always feel free to contact us anyway during these weeks if you see anything that it's worth to mention, some news, some comments. We will be very happy to interact with you. Guys, Jean, James, thank you so much. And to our audience, I
Merry
am looking
Christmas.
forward to next year. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.